and welcome to the July 26th meeting of Glendale Housing Authority. May we have the roll call, please?
Authority members: Devine.
Here.
Friedman.
Here.
Garpetian.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Grazian.
Here.
Chair Sinanian.
Here. What's next on the agenda?
Agenda for the July 26, 2016 regular meeting of the Glendale Housing Authority was posted on Friday, July 22nd, 2016 on the City Hall.
Start approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Gotcha.
They're approved anyway.
Next item would be oral communications. I believe there were cards submitted, but therefore the specific item that is on the agenda before you. It does not appear that there are any cards submitted for. Agenda before you is the Director of Community Development regarding selection of an affordable senior housing development team and proposal for Housing Authority-owned property at 5th Street Avenue in response to Housing Authority's request for proposals. 6A1 is Housing Authority motion to select a development team and proposal for an affordable senior housing development on Housing Authority-owned property at 5th Street and Summer Avenue, and authorization for the Executive Director to negotiate and enter an exclusive negotiating agreement.
Clerk, staff have a brief report.
I think we have an announcement for City Attorney by way of council member participation.
Well, regarding this item, I am informed by the City Attorney that upon further review and investigation into the FPPC rules and the Government Code and the Brown Act, any other applicable?
It's the Government Code.
The Government Code. That I should have recused myself in the entirety from this item last week during the discussion, and therefore I will recuse myself this time. There were some nuances pertaining to my position as a City Council member versus a Housing Authority member, and the correct action will be to recuse myself. I apologize to the applicants last week. I hope that none of my questions were overly persuasive to any of my colleagues. Probably not. I hope the questions I asked you were not in any way showing any bias for or against any applicant. The questions were merely probing and elicitive. So I will be stepping down from this discussion, and I wish everyone good luck.
And as I said last week, I also have a conflict and will continue to be recusing myself from this item. If we go that way, can somebody get us afterwards? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And if I may, Mr.
Yes,
Chair, so I can provide some amplification on Mr. Najarian's explanation. There is a Government Code section, although campaign contributions do not normally trigger a conflict, either under state law or under our campaign finance ordinance. There's a provision that applies to bodies that have elected officers and non-elected officers that may apply in this case, although this is not approving a contract per se with any particular developer other than the ENA. Ultimately, because it could lead to a contract, the wiser course of action is for Authority Member Friedman and Authority Member Najarian to recuse themselves at this time.
Very well, thank you. So we're down to 5 people. And I thought, why don't we listen to the staff report first? And then
Just very briefly, sir, as you know, this has been a project that has been a long time coming, a rather sensitive location in northwest Glendale at a site that was secured by the Housing Authority some time ago. We were issuing an RFP at the Housing Authority's direction. Initially received 18 responses, did a culling of that number down to 6 different firms that were interviewed by staff and generating a top 3 for the Housing Authority Board. At that time, the Housing Authority Board, exercising its discretion, augmented that list of 3 by adding back 2 other proponents into the mix. And last week was the presentations from all 5 of the representative teams. And so you have before you in your packet the staff report, you have a matrix that summarizes the various proposals, and you also have distributed by city clerk the evaluation criteria on the RFP. So with that being said, and with no further ado, be happy to either answer questions, or if you were going to go to the public comment, we could do that too.
Okay. And I think last week with Councilmember Najarian, really no substantive deliberations took place. It really was a presentation, then question and answer, as opposed to council really talking about the particular projects that were presented to us, the Housing Authority, not the council. So we have speaking cards from 4 individuals. I assume some of them probably represent some of the projects, but I don't want to assume things. And I do first want to give an opportunity to each of the applicants to take 3 minutes and speak to the authority if they wish to do so. If they don't, that's just fine. And then we'll go to the speaking cards, and then we'll proceed from there. So, are there applicants that have not submitted speaking cards that would like to be heard? Apparently not. Okay. And we'll go with the first speaker, who will be Robin Hughes.
Mr. Chair, how long will you do?
Ms. Hughes, how much time do you need?
I think you're in the 3 minutes.
Great, 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Board Chair and other board members. Again, we appreciate this opportunity to speak with you about the development of Sonora Gardens. I'd like to point out that I submitted a letter through the city clerk. I hope you've received it. Again, we are excited about this potential opportunity to work with the city in the development of affordable housing. During our interview last week, or our presentation last week, there were a number of follow-up questions that you had regarding our parking. And from our perspective, we also just want to make sure that as you're deliberating this afternoon, you're considering apples and apples and not apples and oranges. So I provided you with a little more information regarding that issue. As I pointed out last week, the RFP indicated that the code requirement for parking was 1-to-1. That's what we included in our proposal. What I wanted to lay out here for you, if we were able to get a parking incentive and reduce that, we would reduce our costs, as I've indicated last week, for about $2 million. And it would also allow us to enhance our tiebreakers. So on the second page of that letter, you will see that I've provided you some cost analysis so that you will be able to compare that. In addition, the last column also looks at if we were able to do it as surface parking. The last thing that I want to point out related to the letter is that we were very thoughtful in what we thought about in terms of providing that public open space for the community. So as you recall, we have included a very large or a decent-sized neighborhood park as part of our development, but we've also included pretty ample on-site open space with our development. So that precludes us or limits our ability to go to the surface parking, but we do think that it is a well-thought-out design, and it would lead to a great project that we would own and manage over time. So again, thank you for this opportunity. I'm here to answer any questions you may have about our proposals, so thanks again.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes.
Mr. Chair,
We have, yes, you have a
can I ask
question?
a quick question?
Of course,
Yeah.
of course.
I have a couple of quick questions for you. I'm looking at the letter that was submitted. So your tiebreaker would be 38.17 with 36 parking spaces, which is on 24 podium and 12 surface, and it would be 40% if there are 36 surface parking spaces.
Yes. So let me distinguish between the two tiebreakers that are provided. The first one is based upon the original application that we submitted. And again, if we were able to go to the alternative scenario, that tiebreaker would be at 35.8 as opposed to the 35.43. Since the time of the RFP, and I think you heard this last week, the Tax Credit Allocation Committee now allows for a bonus for large projects, which this will qualify for. So that last line item is what would be considered the potential tiebreaker if we were to apply under the current tax credit regulations.
Okay, and your construction costs will be reduced from 27 million to 23 million.
So that's the total development cost. What's just above that line item is the specific cost associated with the parking structure. So you'll see that it significantly goes down if we can reduce the podium, and then even more so comparing relative to surface parking. I want to be clear, I'm not suggesting that we will go to surface parking, again, in order to provide that ample space, but as you're considering other projects that have surface parking, I wanted to give a relative comparison.
I appreciate that. This is new information that it's very helpful to have. Thank you.
Okay, quite welcome. Any other questions? All right, thank you again.
Thank you. I want to ask Mike Fortney to come up to the microphone, maybe explain the tiebreaker concept to us.
Sure.
The audience.
Happy to do that, Housing Authority Chair. So the tiebreaker score, it's a little more complicated than I'll describe it, but it puts a heavy weight on the local subsidy, the public subsidy outside tiebreakers. So a project is eligible for, call it $30 million in tax credits. If the local agency provides additional dollars and reduces the amount that, not reduces the amount that the project is eligible for, but rather the amount of tax credits that it is requesting, that tiebreaker goes up. So the weight is like 1/3 total development costs, and its efficiency, and then 2/3 that local subsidy. So if you have a $30 million project or a $20 million project, you go through that calculation, and based upon how much housing authority subsidy there is, the higher your tiebreaker goes. So in the case where there's a potential for money to come back to the housing authority, there is that potential, but then it has the adverse effect of reducing the tiebreaker score. And then vice versa. Anyone asking for $6 million in land or whatever the land value is at the end of the day, if we're not comfortable with that tiebreaker and we want to boost that up, we can pledge more funds. It doesn't mean more public funds overall going into the project. It just means less tax money is going in, tax credits, and more of our money is going in, driving our tiebreaker up. But to talk specifics about the tiebreaker, you have to remember we're competing with every other city in LA County. We probably don't want to get into the numbers too much as far as what we're comfortable with going forward with. I hope that answers your question.
It certainly does. Yes.
So the higher the tiebreaker, the better.
Yes. I will tell you, too, there was one case. Number one, we've been very successful. We've done 7 in the last, I've been here 9 years, so we've been very successful. We did, though, however, have one tiebreaker or a project. It was a senior project not too long ago. It won with a lower tiebreaker. It won because the score above it, one, it turns out it didn't qualify. But the other one scored higher, but it was asking for such a large allocation of tax credits, there wasn't sufficient tax credits to fund it. So our lower score actually won the day. But that's not something we probably want to count on for this round.
So one more question. I want to flip that coin and look at the other side of it. So if I have a project and you have a project, both are getting the same equal amount of subsidy from the city, let's say $5 million, and I'm building 50 units, and my price, total cost of construction is less than yours, I have a better chance of getting the 9% tax credit. If
all
the total,
things equal.
All things equal.
All things equal, with the exception your project's less expensive than mine.
Yes.
You have the higher tiebreaker.
Thank you.
You have the higher tiebreaker.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fortney. Next is Sun Lei Chang.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Suni Lei Chang. I'm Executive Vice President of Link Housing, and I'd like to thank you for your consideration of our project last week and this afternoon. And I also would like to offer a clarification of what came up last time, again, for the apples-to-apples comparison. So you have in front of you your staff report, which demonstrates that Link's cost per square foot is at about $553. And what we realized when we looked at that table is that it's not truly an apples-to-apples comparison, because the total square footage that's reflected there, which is 49,000 square feet, represents our livable building square footage. It's our net usable living square footage. And if you wanted to truly calculate a dollar per square foot. What you would use is the square footage that a general contractor would use, and that's our gross buildable square footage. When you do that, our total square footage becomes 65,000 square feet, which brings down our per square foot cost to $349. And that's a $200 drop, and quite significant. Now, having made that clarification, I'd like to leave you with a vision of what we can offer the city of Glendale. First, what we can do is we can promise you a beautiful, high-quality project that not only fits in with the neighborhood, but also complements it. Our projects are beautifully designed to sit lightly on the earth, revitalize communities, and be vibrant centers of life and activity. Our projects win awards. They win design awards. In fact, the last senior project we won was considered the senior project of the year by both SCAMF and the Building Industry Association. Second, we can offer you certainty of execution. Now, we're getting into this whole conversation of tiebreaker, but let me just tell you that our track record will show you that we can get the job done. We've been around for over 30 years. We've built over 112 tax credit projects, which means we've built, on average, about 4 projects per year. And our success in winning those tax credit awards depends on our ability to be able to drive up the tiebreaker. Not only drive up the tiebreaker, but also to be able to survey the playing field, understand what everybody else is doing, and position ourselves competitively. Because you're right, Councilman, the numbers do matter, but you can also tweak those numbers by finessing certain elements and strategy in terms of what you position. And as I'm sure you saw in your staff report, we are actually tied for having the highest tiebreaker of all the proposals that you have seen. I will say, though, the thing that distinguishes us is that we do have the deepest affordability targeting of all the proposals that you have seen. And that reflects our values. It reflects the importance of the fact that seniors live on fixed incomes and do need deeply affordable units. 3/4 of our units are reserved for extremely low or very low income individuals, which you think is really important. The third thing is that we really take care of our residents, and having a vision of taking care, bringing in supportive services, integrating into the community. As you saw, we want to partner with all the service providers locally and throughout our broad network of 200 service providers in order to be able to bring those services into the community, because we recognize that community is about being something larger than yourself. And so we are planning on building a beautiful project with rich services and amenities, and being part of the broader community and bringing that to the entire neighborhood, not just the people living in our communities. Thank you.
Questions?
Yes, please.
So you're indicating that the 49,000 square foot is your rentable plus the other amenities, which is under a roof. It doesn't consider the improvements that you do for site improvements, as well as soft card, hard cost, landscaping, and everything.
It doesn't.
Basically, it's price per square foot under a roof. It's rentable plus your amenities that you provide.
Essentially, yes. It excludes things also like stairwells, not livable space.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So one other question for staff. I want to know if you're considering every other project the same way or not, as far as the square footage that is being considered. Like, I'm just going to pick one. Thomas Safran has 62,000 square feet. Is that their, for 70 units, is that their total rentable square foot plus the community room and everything else, or it includes the hallways and walkways outside as well? I just want to make sure that we are doing the calculation fairly for all the projects.
Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense to do that. Thomas Safran, Andrew Gross from Thomas Safran and Associates is in the audience. He, I believe, submitted a speaker card, so he could answer the question of whether that 62,300 square feet was everything under a roof or some other number. I only created this matrix based on what information was provided.
And one difference that it would make in any project is if you have exterior staircases and walkways, they don't consider as a living space or under a roof, versus if you have interior corridors. So let's ask them.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure that our calculation here is equal to every project.
Would you like me to ask Andrew up now?
They're coming up. I think we can ask them
okay.
when they come up. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jack Darakchan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Jack Dorakjian. I'm the Executive Director and founder of Modern Sport Services. We provide supportive services to developmentally disabled individuals. The reason I'm here today is to advocate for the individuals that we support within Glendale and other communities, of course, but specifically within Glendale regarding affordable housing. I understand that there's a need for affordable housing throughout different populations like seniors and homeless, but I also think that it's very important to take the individuals that we support, which are developmentally disabled, into account. As I was here last week, there were questions addressed to the applicants whether there would be any type of possibility to include disability within their program, and I believe all of them responded favorably to that. So I hope that you will, if it comes up to a vote, you graciously will vote yes towards at least a portion of the units allocated towards the developmental disabilities. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's the intention, yes.
Andrew Gross.
So, good afternoon, Chair, Housing Authority. I'm going to be brief here. Sonora Village Green. I brought a little board here. Hope that's respectable. I'm emphasizing the word green. We heard you clearly that green space was important to you. We are providing two schemes, a 90-unit scheme and a 71-unit scheme, with 30,000 square feet of green space for the 70-unit scheme and 40,000 square feet for the 91-unit scheme. Again, I'm going to be brief here. If I'm standing in your shoes, what's important to me? Listen, you have 5 submittals before you out of, I think, 17. All of them are qualified. All of them, including us, will provide certainty of execution. We have over 40 years of experience, 50 buildings. We funded Veterans Village in 3 years. From start site control to completion, occupancy was 3 years. First try tax credit, we got it done. But if I'm asking you what's important, it's transformational product. Who is going to provide a transformational product? And respectfully, Thomas Safran and Associates is uniquely positioned to do that. We did it on Gardens on Garfield, transforming the community from a dilapidated structure and park to something much greater. Veterans Village, we provided 100% affordable veterans housing to 40 units. And here, at 5th and Sonora, I was just there, we have a beautiful, and I brought this board too, a vision here, which is a park. It's a public park. This isn't just about the seniors who occupy this space, but it's also about the community, the broader community. And what we provide for you is a transformational product, again, not just for the people that live there, but also for the community at large. Now listen, I looked at different things, and I know another person submitted a proposal to buy certain lots on the corner. Again, I was just there. You'd have to relocate a lot of people. I would advocate for the position of what we provided to you, which, again, is Sonora Village Green, green space for all, services for seniors, enhancing the world in which we live, and again, transformational product for the city of Glendale. So respectfully, I'm here to answer any questions, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. Yes.
Did you say that there are 30,000 square feet of open space?
That's correct. We spoke last time of 25,000, and afterwards the architect went back and looked, and it was 30,000 square feet of green space for the 70-unit plan, yes. And as to affordability, we are also providing affordability. 50% of the units are less than 50% of median income, okay, which gets you to the very low designation at 30%, which is a $450 monthly rental income with utilities. So we have provided for 30%, 40%, 45%, 50% at 50% of the units. So the majority of the units are below that designation. As to cost, my understanding, and I need to verify it, is yes, that 60,000 square feet is a gross square foot number. It does include circulation. I think we answered that to the best of my recollection last time.
Thank you.
Let me ask you one question, if I may. Speaking of affordability, I don't know if I'm reading this right or not. 30% 14 units, 40% AMI 14 units, 50% 7 units, and 60% 34 units?
I think that was a correction that we had. I'm not sure if that made it into the what you have, but there's 10%, so that would be 7 units at 30 of the 70-unit scheme, 7 units at 35, 7 units at 40, 7 units at 45, and 7 units at 50. The remaining...
What was provided last week, and that's not what it indicates.
Got it. I think there was a clarification, and that is what we submitted in our RFP submittal. I think we misspoke when we were here last week.
Because even thank you.
But it is 50% at below 50% of median.
Right.
So we do have significant affordability. And we would also work. Oh, last point is our tiebreaker for both schemes are at 44 points, or is the 70-unit scheme is at 44.6, and at the 91-unit scheme is at 33.6, thereabouts. Last round, just for comparison, this might help, projects were funded, again, to my understanding, in LA County at the tiebreaker of 40, meaning anything higher than 40 would get funded. And again, there's a range, and all of us are very qualified to work with tiebreaker and work with the city to submit what's funded.
Would you do me a favor and repeat your numbers again? Because
Sure.
even the staff report today indicates what I was reading.
Sure. It's a 44.6 tiebreaker on the...
No, not the tiebreaker, the affordability.
The affordability. It's 10% at 30,
Okay.
10% at 35,
10% at 35,
10% at 40,
10% at 40, okay.
10% at 45, and 10% at 50. So that's 50% total.
So you don't have 60% at all?
Well, the remaining 50% is at 60. So 50% at 60, the remaining at 50 or less.
Okay.
And
these numbers are new? Because my staff report from last week and this week doesn't indicate that.
They're not new because that is what was submitted in the RFP originally. But I think there was a question at some point in correspondence with staff where there was a misspoken number. But those are the accurate numbers that were submitted from early on. And I take responsibility for that misspeak. So
thank you.
Thank you. I also compliment staff. So thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm looking at these numbers, and according to my calculations, even with the numbers that we were given on this report, you had 35 at 50% or below and 34 above. So that's 50%.
Okay, maybe then it's correct. So I think there was just more affordability at the 35 and 45 range. So, but yes, affordability is also very important to us and Tom Saffron for the last 40 years. It's what we do. So,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. We have Vic Vartan Markarian next. Oh, I'm sorry. This must be for a different item. It's mislabeled. Robin Hughes.
Did Robin Hughes?
Oh, you spoke already. Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Hughes. Okay, so now... okay, so now we've heard from several of the applicants, and there's really no scientific way of doing this, but I was thinking we'd go through each one of the authority members and find out who their top 2 finalists were, and if they want to share with us why that's the case, that's great. So, would you like to start?
Sure.
Yes. Okay.
I'd be
Mayor
happy to
Devine.
start.
I have one request or maybe a suggestion. I don't know. We'll see how would this go. But I'd like to know the people who are here today. What are they here for? What item? Most of the
audience
rent stabilization ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in the interest of time, this is just a suggestion because this project is a very important project. And personally, I just received few new information from 2, maybe 3 of the developers. And because we have so many people here, and I don't know how many of them are going to be speaking today, in the interest of time and interest of giving this project the attention that it deserves, I personally would need some more time to review my numbers and see which ones are. I have my favorites, that which one is a better project or, to me, better design or what have you. But as far as getting the tax credit, being qualified, I think if we can postpone this project, making the decision until next week, that we'll have a full session. We can spend 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever the time that it deserves to make a decision instead of rushing into it today and trying to. I mean, this project's been sitting there since year 2008. I don't know 1 week or 2 weeks it will make a huge difference or not. That's my suggestion, because there are so many different numbers right now that may affect the tiebreakers and may affect the projects itself. So I personally think we should give this project maybe a week or two time.
Madam Mayor?
I disagree with that. I think that the numbers are basically the same as we got from last week, just kind of, especially with Saffron, just a little bit, for some reason, broken up a little bit differently than on our report. I think most of us are ready to make a decision or to move towards a decision, and I think the sooner we make the decision, the sooner the project gets started, we can get to the ENA. So I would prefer to just do it today and have it done. I look to my colleagues to see if everyone is prepared, and so I'd rather do it
my
today.
inclination is also to move forward, just because we're sort of in the process right now. There's a flow going, so why don't we just get this done?
I'd also like to move forward today.
So why don't we start with Madam Mayor then?
Okay, I'd be happy to. First, I want to thank staff for vetting the 18 proposals. Most of them came in with experience, with adherence to sustainability, and with the ability to accommodate the disabled as requested by Housing Chair Sinanian. However, when I began comparing the projects, I found myself focused on the functionality of the projects. The presentations were good. The numbers are important. They are important, but the functionality, I think, is the most important. We are addressing seniors aging in place. That was the common phrase. So the question became, for me, which proposal gave us the best project for doing just that? Which project allows seniors to age in place gracefully, socially, and actively? So I narrowed it down to two. And my second choice is Link Core. I don't know if they have a name for that project or not, and I'm not holding that against you. I think it's called Sonora Avenue Senior Housing, but I'm not quite sure about that, but it's okay. It was a strong proposal. The tax credit breaker score was 44.6, as we've heard, and that is strong. Tied also with Saffron. It did have some of the best targeted rentals. The partnership was good. That was one of the strengths of this project. The supportive groups and organizations that they work with were very strong. However, when I got to functionality, that's where it made a difference to me. They have 15,000 square feet, as I understand it, of open space, not park space, open space. Most of the open space does not appear to offer a gathering or socialization access. There's one area in the back, and it appears on the drawing, if all of you will look at the drawings, a very small area where there's a garden shed and and a little area for raised gardens, community gardens, and that's it. The community center opens onto Sonora, as does the parking, which I think is not the best plan. And the other thing about the community center, it's a large community center, but there are apartments above it. And I'm not particularly fond of that particular design as well, especially for seniors. So it's a less desirable project for activities for the residents and the community as far as interaction, socialization. They also are asking for a reduction in the front setback, and they're asking for a reduction in the rear setback. And that, to me, is not the best plan. As far as the property next door, I can't base my decision on the possibility of them acquiring that property adjacent to the project for more units, because it wasn't stated in the RFP, and I think if we're going to do something like that, then all proposers should have the opportunity to investigate that avenue. And so in order to have a level playing field, and that's what I'm looking for. So with this project, it had a lot of strengths, but as far as functionality and socialization, which I think is really important for aging seniors, to have contact with intergenerational contact with kids, and not just their grandkids, but perhaps an opportunity during the week. So then I looked at my number one choice was Saffron, the Sonora Village Green. That was, and I'm looking at the 65 unit, 70 unit, 49 parking spaces. It's a very strong proposal, excellent track record in Glendale. The sustainability meets the RFP requirements. They have on-site management, and I think that's really important because they are there every day to make sure that the upkeep of the facility is maintained, and that the residents are enjoying living in place. The design, it's a traditional Spanish design. It's warm, it's welcoming, it's not claustrophobic. It seems to be compatible with the neighborhood, and it's not massive. And then I got to the functionality. What are people going to do? What are the seniors going to do that are going to be living there? Well, 30,000, they made, one of the proposals came in and said there's no room for parks on this site. And this is absolutely positive proof that there is room on this site for parks. So functionality. They offer 2 community rooms, one a private community room for the residents only. The other is for the community and for the residents. Now, the one community room for the neighborhood is off of Sonora, away from the residents, so that if people from the community come in, they can come in on Sonora to the community room and enjoy that space. Right by that community center is their intergenerational park for kids. Now, this gives an opportunity for kids in the neighborhood to have a playground. It gives those that are the residents that are living there an opportunity for their grandkids to come and play in that area. And again, it's all set back away from the residents so that there is quiet where they are actually living. It's separated from the residents with that entrance on Sonora. They also offer an exercise room, a computer room, a music room, a media room, a piano. I mean, there are so many things for residents to do and become involved in. They have a barbecue space. I mean, it's not just open space; it's park space, functionally. It includes. An intergenerational park that I mentioned. It includes a butterfly park. It includes gardens, meditation garden, and one of the things I think which was ingenious and incredibly smart was to put a walking path all the way around the project so that the residents that live in that area will have a walking park, a walking path where they can exercise, and also the seniors can do the same. And none of the others offered that. Most of their open space was in between the buildings. This one had the thoughtfulness and the creativity to put a walking path around the facility, encircling the project. So it's not just a lot of passive parks. Passive open space. It's actual park space that can be used for activity and for assembling. They have barbecues where the residents can come and meet each other and enjoy each other. Another ingenious and very thoughtful part of this design was the circular driveway in the front. And the parking and the driveway are both on 5th Street, on 5th. They're not on Sonora, where all the traffic is. So this makes it a lot easier. The driveway, the circular driveway in the front, makes it very easy for pickup, drop-off, and just easier for seniors, I think, to use the facility and go out and about in their during their day. And as opposed to Link, they are providing an increase in setbacks next to the adjacent properties, whereas Link is asking for reductions. Their vision, I think the vision is fantastic. It's a garden atmosphere, which I think we're getting, wellness, and embracing the light and the view with their design. The project definitely defines a vibrant way of life for seniors. I think the tiebreaker score, as was quoted, 44.6. The income targeting is 50%, below 50% AMI. I think this is a beautiful, thoughtful, and functional project, and so that's why Saffron is my number one choice. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr.
Hope I didn't take too long.
No, that was fine. That was very informative. Mr. Harpett, would you like to go next?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Madam President?
I'm still thinking.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Kelly.
I completely echo and agree with Mayor Devine's assessment of both projects. I felt like it was a photo finish between the two of them. It was almost maddening to decide between these two projects. I felt like they were so close. But I really feel like Thomas Saffron the design is fantastic, functionality is fantastic. I just felt like for other reasons, we were familiar with them, we worked with them before, services they provide, I just felt like the 70-unit Thomas Saffron building was just a little bit ahead of Link.
Okay, so Link and Thomas Saffron?
Yeah, Thomas Saffron, then Link.
And let me ask you, and then I'll go back to the mayor. Did you like, which iteration of Saffron's proposal did you like? The one with 70 units or 91 units?
If I picked the first, second, or third, I would have actually picked the 91-unit Thomas Saffron building first. I like that a little bit more. I felt like that gave us a little bit more bang for the buck. 91 units, to me, in that area is perfect. But I felt like the 91 unit and the 70 unit, both sites were 1, 2, and Link was third. I actually preferred the 91 unit building, but I felt like they were the top two proposals that we received.
Okay. And Madam Mayor, how about you?
Well, quite frankly, I looked at the 70 unit. The 91 unit I was a little bit apprehensive about because of the amount of money that the city would have to put in. I believe we would have to add over $1 million to this project in order to...
$1.9 million.
Yeah, it would be $1.9 million.
$1.9 million, so $2 million. So I just, that was one of the reasons that I shied away from that one. Both beautiful projects, both have the same amenities, as I believe, but I thought that this 70 unit was just spot on.
Okay. Ms. Perez, in your turn.
So my first choice is Thomas Saffron and Associate too, because we have two buildings in Glendale, and we have experience with them. They are just great builders. I like their projects. So I'll go with the 70 unit.
And what was your second choice?
And second choice, I'll go with the Link housing.
With the link housing, okay.
Yes. Mhm.
Mr. Garpetian?
Your microphone, please.
I just wanted to see if they're awake or not. Well, I appreciate all the proposals that we received. They were all very well done. I liked all 5 of them, and we had some new information today. That's why I wanted to have some more time to evaluate everything else. But as far as my choice on design and the functionality and the flow and park space, I like Adobe the best because I have few family members and relatives who live in senior housing. And the amount of park space and open space that they provided is 44,500 square feet. Their corridors are not interior corridors. Most of them are exterior corridors. And they all have balconies. And they have these open spaces in every floor. You have a separate open space on every floor. So you don't have to walk down and go to a community garden if you wanted to have an open space. And they are open air. So that was very attractive to me. I don't want to talk about what I didn't like about other projects because I think they were all done really well. The tiebreakers, I think the price of the property, the cost of the development will make a huge difference at the end when you go and submit your application for the tiebreaker. I really think we have to be very careful because our goal here, when I got elected the first day that I sat on this chair as a chair of the Housing Authority, I asked about this project. And with the help of my colleagues, I asked them, we want this thing done. My goal is to have this project built and have the best for the neighborhood and for the residents. Who the developer is going to be, we'll decide either today or next week or what have you. But my goal is not to delay the project. My goal is not to put one project against the other or one developer against the other. My preference would be a go, and because of the design and the open space and functionality, and every room that you occupy, you have access to the outdoors. Even your hallways, your walkways, you have access to the outdoors, and it's very, very a pleasant environment to live in. My second choice would be the Ganges project, and I tell you why. Because of the number of units and the cost of the construction, the overall development cost. I asked these questions maybe 5 or 6 times, and I got the same answer. The number of units and number of bedrooms, the subsidy, if the subsidy from the city is the same, all things equal, the number of units and the cost of construction will determine who will get that 9% tax credit. And if I have a project, 80 units, and my cost of construction is less than your 70 units, guess what? I have a much better chance of getting that project done. And for them, one of our goals was to have a nice environment on the street, on 5th Street, to have a park-like setting. And to be honest with you, having a driveway over there is not very attractive to me. The rest of the design, it's perfect. But having a circular driveway in the front, it's maybe easier to drop off and pick up, but that could be mitigated in a different way. So that thing, having a driveway in the front, when we asked from the beginning to have a park-like setting on 5th Street that people can use and enjoy, I don't know, that kind of was not in my expectations. So my first choice would be Adobe, and the second choice would be Ganges design.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Garpetian. Yes, I'm up, I guess. I'm the last one. And Yeah, everything that Councilmember Garpetian said about how important this project is. 2 years before he got elected, when I had just got elected, I pushed for this project for a number of reasons, not only because of the escalating housing crisis in terms of rents going up in Glendale and just the general need for low-income housing, but also because of the constant complaints that all the low-income housing is being relegated to South Glendale and there's nothing in North Glendale. And not only is it bad for, it's just bad to concentrate all low-income housing in one geographic area, because we're one city, we should know how people live, and we shouldn't artificially create areas where we have certain income people and then other areas with other income people. So finally, we're very close. We're very close. And I appreciate all the comments, very thoughtful comments that my colleagues made about their choices. And I share most, disagree with others. But certainly these were very good proposals. And like staff said, I think several times last week, there's no bad proposal in the final list that we brought to the Housing Authority. They're all good projects. It's just a matter of which ones are the best, or which one ultimately is the best. And I mentally sort of narrowed them down to 3. Those were Abode, Link, and Saffron, and then I have to narrow it down to 2. So I'll tell you what my choices are. My number 2 choice is Abode, for very much the same reasons that Councilman Garpetian pointed out. I really like everything that it provides to its potential residents. I like the design. I like the fact that each individual unit has its own open space. I like the, ironically, for a property that doesn't specifically include green space, it certainly looks like a very green building. So that caught my attention. Another thing that really caught my attention was the fact that the applicant didn't just assume that we were going to give them this variance and allow them to half park the building. They actually did their math based on full parking. I like that, because no one else did it. Every other applicant sort of assumed, they're going to allow us to give half a space for each unit, and they didn't do that. So it speaks to their sort of responsibility. And my other choice, my ultimate choice, my number 1 choice was Link Housing. Now, Mayor Devine analyzed it very well. Councilmember, and Authority Member Kelly also had his input. I agree with those arguments. I really like the project. I like the Spanish-style building. I like the scores, and I think it's the best proposal in the bunch. So with that, I'm going to sum this up. We have currently 2 votes for Abode, I apologize. 1 for Ganji Design, 4 for Link Housing, and 3 for Thomas Saffron and Associates. So in essence, we've narrowed it down to Link and Saffron. And unless Authority members are going to be able to change someone else's mind, Link has more votes than Saffron does, but I'm happy to open it.
Saffron has the most first place votes, correct? 3?
Right. Not sure that matters.
It's a function of however the authority board wants to do it.
I would just say it seemed to me that the chair asked for a sort of an informal ranking. It's still,
Yeah,
you're still
I'm
at
not
the
sure
end of the day, you're still
really.
deliberating until somebody makes a motion. So,
Okay,
So would someone like to weigh in?
well, I will. I'd like to mention about Abode. I don't know if I'll be able to change any. Well, I guess it doesn't. It's Lincoln.
It's Link and Saffron.
Okay. Well, I just feel that Saffron has a more functional building project. There's so much for the seniors to do in their where they're living that Link does not provide. Link has one community center, which opens onto Sonora. There are apartments above it. I just don't think the functionality of the open space is as well thought out as Saffron. And I think that's really important. All the other numbers and the project, the rentals, et cetera, are primarily basically the same. I think they're basically the same. I think Saffron maybe has even a better chance of getting the 9%. And so I would really like to encourage my colleagues to vote to approve the Saffron.
Yes, Mr. Carpenter.
I'd like to ask one question from both Link and Saffron. Whoever wants to come up first.
Let's go with Saffron first.
I asked this question last week, didn't get a clear answer.
Sure.
How many 9% projects have you done in last 5 years, every year?
It's approximately 2 a year. Approximately 2 a year. We just closed, for instance, two from 2015. Both were applications the first time we applied, and we were awarded both the first time we applied.
Okay. And were they brand new projects or they were rehabs?
They were brand new developments, ground-up developments. Most developments of the last 5 years, we have put a lot of energy into making sure that, as Tom calls it, we are nitpickers, and we make sure we get lots of eyes on every application, as I'm sure all my colleagues in the room do, to make sure we get awarded. But I think we are really apt at looking at past tiebreakers and looking at who's applying and making sure we are awarded. And again, on Veterans Village, we said we were going to do it quickly. We did it within a year of receiving site control. On the first round, we were awarded tax credits within the county, and we won, and we finished construction within 3 years, which is very quick. So we are, as I think everybody here, we are exceptional at execution.
And as far as the success rate on submitting applications and being awarded, how many applications have you submitted in the last 5 years? I'm going to ask the same question from the other.
I don't have those specifics, but I will say that, and I could get those to you. I just don't have them here today. But I will say that, I think most of us in the room here are exceptional. That's why we were selected in the 5 of submitting applications and receiving those tax credit awards. And we do it in LA County, and we do it in LA City, and we specifically only focus in LA County and neighboring counties. We are not across California. We specifically focus on that so we can give the attention that each of these projects need to get the tax credits. And that's what we do. And again, we were awarded 2 last year, both first-time applicants.
Thank you. I have
Link.
Come up, please. Same questions. How many applications have you submitted, and what's the success rate? Last 5 years, let's say.
In recent years, we've submitted, as I mentioned in our proposal, 17 tax credit applications, and we have won 15. Last year alone, we won 25% of the awards in LA County. And so that is a significant part of the track record. The other part to note is the tiebreaker. When you look at the funding that's available, the tax credits are the primary funding source. It's also important to understand the importance of services and how those come to bear in the project, and how they make the project more attractive to funders. And so that's where the really robust services that we provide is significant. And Madam Mayor, you are correct in that the community space that Tom Saffron is offering does have 2 private community rooms. I would note that their total community space is 1,000 square feet, and that we're able to parse and break everything up as much as they can, and even to a greater extent, because our community space is 3,500 square feet and able to accommodate much more in the way of services.
I actually
2,000, I'm sorry, mixing up too many proposals. To the extent that the everything in here, and you will note, is fluid. We are partners. We were actually founded by the Southern California Association of Governments, and we have as part of our history, as part of our DNA, collaboration with cities, and we get invited back repeatedly because of that. And so if there is a space that you would like to see, we're still working on that adjacent space, proposing the park there, removing units, reconsidering that. We're certainly able to do that as well.
Thank you.
I just wanted to, I think Saffron has 3,000 square feet. They have a 2,000 square foot community room and a 1,000 square foot community room. So they do have 3,000 square feet.
Well, I don't want to make a decision on basically on who has more 500 square foot, more or less community room or park space. As a whole, we have to look at it. Thank you. I didn't want to give
Let me ask,
unfair...
I'm sorry, before you go, I'm sorry, she's walking away, that's why I want to...
Okay.
So I'm not sure I heard the numbers right. So your answer was you got 15 out of how many that you applied
17 on the first try. The other 2 we were able to receive on subsequent attempts.
Okay, so 15 out of 17. That's the answer.
17 total.
And are those all 9%ers or no?
Those are 9% between Link and Core. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So 15 out on the first try, the other 2 on the second try.
Yes.
Look, I'm asking these questions because my goal is to, thank you, to the design, everything can be worked out in ENA. Everything can be worked out in ENA. The open space, the park space, the community room, everything can be worked out. If you don't like it, you don't have to vote for it at the end. My concern, my primary concern is who can obtain that 9% tax credit, the first round. I know there's no guarantee, but that's my primary concern overall. That's why the cost of construction is very important versus the number of units, because that's what it will be looked at the end of the day. Sure. If you have, that's why I said Ganji. I'm not trying to bring that. I know we don't have the votes for it, but when I say 80 units with $19 million cost of construction versus 50 units with $20 million, the chance, if these 2 projects are there, the chances of one getting against the other is a lot more. And I think we have to be very cautious of that and take that into consideration, whoever the developer is going to be, because it is very important when we have the cost price per square foot. Affordable housing should not cost $500 a foot, not even including land. So we have to be very careful on that. That's my friendly suggestion. As far as how the votes are going to be, to be honest with you, I still think we need a little bit more time to consider our decisions. And I don't know if we want to rush into it and do it today, but I don't see the point if we don't have, some numbers have changed, and I personally would be more comfortable if we look at everything one more time.
Hey, you mean you want to look at everything? You want to reverse the entire process?
No. Personally, to have another week to look at everything one more time and come up with a, maybe, because I have some new information today from 2 or 3 of the developers, and I don't see why making this decision next week is going to be such a harm to this project. I really don't see it.
But it's not, but it seems like, now we're deeper in the process. We've narrowed it down to 2 entities, and I think you want to postpone it and then sort of go back at all 5 of them again.
No, I wanted to, because even both of them, they gave us different numbers today. Link gave us different numbers.
Saffron and Link gave you different numbers? They did, I guess, a little bit.
But just for clarification's sake, Mr. Chair, when you look at Saffron's numbers, basically all they did was the 14 and 30%. He's explaining that it was 30% 7 and 35% 7. And 40%, we have 14 here on your matrix, it was 40 and 45. So his number's relatively minor change. On Link, what they are putting forth is basically leveling that playing field in terms of what you heard Mr. Gross talk about in terms of his gross developable square footage at that a little over 62,000. It was explained from Link that they are up around 65,000, which then brings the per square foot cost $352 to $377. When you look at their total development costs, 22.925 for Link, 23.511 for the folks at Tom Safran. My point being that I think you see a lot of commonality. You've heard from both of the developers, these two finalists among finalists, if you will, that either one of them is going to be very successful. They've had tremendous success at the 9% tax credit round. They play that game very well, perhaps better than most. And so I think at this point you're getting to, I don't know that you can get the distillation of numbers any further than what you have right now, that the numbers are going to make the difference for you. I think at this point, as a Housing Authority Board, you're looking at the two projects and saying what fits your vision for what you want to see on that corner. Because as Mr. Garpetian points out, you will, all the fine details will be sanded down in the E&A process. So as you look at those top two, do you say, well, this fits my vision for what I want to see or not? If you need the additional time, I think where you're driving at, sir, is to limit it to those top two so we don't replay the same discussion again and again. But if you're ready to make a decision, then make the decision.
I'm ready to make a decision. I'm ready to make a motion. I think that, as Mr. Ochoa has said, the numbers are basically the same. I think what we have to look at is the design. I think Safran is more compatible. It doesn't look as dense. It doesn't look as it's not modern. This design has wood siding and maintenance problem. Anyway, but the Safran design is I think, more compatible with the neighborhood. I think the functionality of the functionality, again, this is a boat. That's a boat. The functionality of this project with the walking path and everything that they have that can be shared. I mean, this is a community project. This is the neighborhood coming in and working and playing with the residents that are there. And I just don't see that happening in the Link project. There is just not that much active space in this project and the Link project.
Well, I asked this question last week as to if the loop is open to public. They said we would decide. I don't think that the entire loop is open to public. So that's not
no, Safran is. Yes, it is.
It's not.
Well, I'll tell you what.
And one other thing I want to ask is the variation in square footage between 70 units. It says 62,000 square feet versus Link 49,000 square feet. Is that 62,000 square feet the rentable plus the community room? Because if that includes the walkways and everything, if you reduce that number, let me ask the question.
Okay.
If you reduce.
Sorry.
If you reduce that number, the price per square foot will go up. It's not 377 versus 553 or 315 on the other one.
The Safran units are 700 square feet, and the Link are 600, I believe.
Okay.
That's I think the difference in that.
Yeah, but if it's
For the
700,
two bedrooms, they have a lot of two bedrooms.
If it's 700 square feet, it's 49,000 versus 62,000.
We ready for a motion, or?
I'm sorry. Let me say a few things. So one of the problems that we have right now is that we're already missing two authority members who are not going to vote, and frankly, I don't want to move forward with a vote while we're missing the third authority member. It almost leaves us with half the authority. So if Councilmember Garpetian is not ready to vote today, he's not going to vote. I'd rather we postpone this until next week, but limit it to picking up at this point, if that's okay.
Who are we waiting for? I don't understand who we're waiting for.
Well, it sounds like Authority Member Garpetian is not ready to vote. He's just, plus he tells me he is.
But maybe we have a majority that are ready.
I know, but what I'm saying is that we have two.
What I'm saying is I want to vote on this project. Don't get me wrong. I want to vote on the right project, and I think both of them are good. All five of them are good. Don't get me wrong. But again, a week difference. I don't see this project sat there for 8 years, 7 years. No word about it. Now for 7 days we have 100 people sitting here waiting for our next item. So what I'm saying is, this is a humble request. If my authority members don't want to go that way, so be it. But I think if we have time until next week and we vote on it next week, nothing's going to happen. It's not the end of the world.
Do we have a meeting next week? August 2nd?
You have an afternoon meeting next week, special meeting, because you're dark for the evening meeting for National Night Out.
And we don't have a heavy agenda like today.
So let me ask you again,
I want to make a motion to postpone the meeting until next week, postpone the voting until next week. That's my motion.
Is the motion to bring back, that motion would bring back all 5 finalists? Is that the motion?
Yeah.
It's his motion. So.
Bring back all 5 finalists. I mean, we narrowed it down, but I want to look at everything and make an educated decision. I got some new information today.
I really...
One week is that there's a motion. If there's a second, we can move forward. If there's no second, then we'll decide.
Mr. Chairman, I had one more comment to make. To be fair about this, I would like to move forward today. To be fair about this, in my opinion, and I know it's just an opinion, I felt like the Saffron 91 unit and the Saffron 70 unit proposals most closely resembled what the RFPs called for. I felt like both of those came the closest to what, and our directions were, whatever was sent in to us, no changes after the fact, just focus your decision on what originally came in. I felt like Saffron, with both their 91 unit building and their 70 unit building, those both most closely resembled what the RFP called for. So I'd like to move forward today.
So you're not seconding the motion?
Well, Mr. Kelly, I, with all due respect, the RFP asked for complying with the code on parking. 4 out of 5 didn't. Our direction was park-like setting in the front. We have a driveway in the front. I don't want to put their project down. Believe me, I like their project as well. But what I'm saying is, a week difference, I don't know what kind of a difference it would make. That we want to force a decision today. I mean, we went.
Sorry, sir, but not to put words in Ms. Devine or Mr. Kelly's mouth, but your point is very well taken. A week's difference, what difference would it make? It's the loss of a week, and so I think that's where you guys have to come together.
That's what we're talking about right now, a loss of a week.
Yeah, you've made the motion. Certainly the chair is in a position to entertain the second.
Well, Ms. Parazin, you'd be the one to second it if you were to second it.
To postpone?
Postpone for a week.
Postpone for 1 week. And nothing will happen in 1 week. Believe me, all the projects will be the same. The sky will be the same color.
To me, let's postpone to make just the right decision.
Is that a second?
Second, yeah.
So what was the motion again? To postpone the whole thing or just the 2?
We have to bring back all 5 of them next week.
What was your motion?
That was the motion.
All 5 of them next week.
That's what it. Would you please explain that again?
Right. Just so I mean, because that's why I asked members of the authority. The motion was to continue the item to next week's meeting, and so as stated and as seconded, it would bring back this item with all 5 proposals before you. Somebody can make offer an amendment to the motion. Somebody can make a substitute motion. Or the council can vote down the motion.
40. Well, there's a motion and a second, but I will say this, that when it comes back next week,
there won't be any testimony?
We're not going to go through this process.
Okay.
We're just not going to do that.
Okay.
So we have a motion. Roll call.
Authority members Devine?
No.
Friedman? Garpetian?
Yes.
Kelly?
No.
Najarian? Parazian?
For 5, no. But for 2, yes. I don't know.
No.
That's a no. That's a no.
Yeah.
So I amend my.
Well, let's get
That's
let's get the last vote.
So that's a no.
Okay, so
That's a no.
that motion fails.
Majority of no's.
So I can amend my motion for two.
It's a new motion.
It's a new motion.
So there's be a motion to continue the item to bring back the council deliberation on the final 2, which is Link and TSA.
I guess that's your motion.
Yeah.
It's a second.
Is that a second? Surprising.
No.
You're not, are you seconding
You're not
it?
seconding it?
No, I'm not seconding it.
I'm sorry. So the motion was to bring it, to continue to next week.
Only two.
Yeah, but
Actually, for only two projects.
yes, for
Saffron
two
and
projects.
Lake.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
that
second.
is, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, may we have roll call, please?
Authority members Devine,
No.
Friedman, Garpetian,
Yes.
Kelly,
No.
Najarian, Karazian,
Yes.
Chair Sinanian.
Yes. Okay. Next item.
Are there any authority member or staff comments? And
There appear to be none. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Okay, we're adjourned at 4:23.